Hey Northfield, good afternoon. I hope you guys are doing pretty well. Just want to come to you and share some thoughts regarding this year and our small group structure 242. 2020 has been a very strange and challenging year, to say the least. Like every one of us has been affected in one way or another regarding the coronavirus. Whether we agree with how it's been handled or not, I think as a church family, what it's done is it's caused us to be creative. And we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts as leaders for your flexibility and your grace in these times of uncertainty and really frustration that have mounted, I think, for many of us. All that to say, I am quite thankful for how the uncertainty of 2020 has revealed that God made us to need others. And I'm sure you've felt this. We are not made to live in isolation. We're not made to worship in a silo by ourselves. We're made to gather together. And so to that end, we understand that gathering on Sunday mornings is a primary means of encouragement and equipping for the body of Christ. And so if you're watching this and it's been a while since you've joined us, I want to encourage you that consider resuming worshiping with us in person. There's various ways that you can join us and still maintain your convictions, whatever they might be regarding mask wearing or safety. And we just want to encourage you to take advantage of those because the advantage of gathering together as a large body of believers is huge. Secondly, God has designed us for relationship with Him and others. And He desires that we walk out what we hear and what we learn on Sunday. If you look at the life of Christ, nearly 20% of His time was spent in the synagogue and doing formal teaching, which is what our Sunday gatherings look like. And that's what we want. We want those as are foundational and formative. But 80% of Christ's life is spent on mission. It's out in the homes and meeting with people and teaching on a hillside and doing things very informally. And so to that end, over the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear more about 242 groups, which is Northfield's small group structure. And we want to encourage everybody to consider involvement with this. It's vital for your growth as a disciple maker and believer in Jesus Christ. First, what I want to do is show how 242 groups have impacted me, how they've encouraged me, how they've challenged me personally. Then in the coming weeks, you're going to be hearing more and more testimonies of others who are involved with 242 groups here at Northfield. Now, when you hear these, I don't want you to listen for perfection or comparison. I want you to listen for life. I want you to understand that life is lived in the mundane. It's lived in the messy marriage. It's lived in the nagging addiction. It's lived in the victory over temptation. It's lived in the welcoming love of a neighbor. Loving God and loving others is disciple making, the very mission and purpose for which God created us. And so my hope is that you'll hear these testimonies, you'll hear these stories, and you'll be asking yourself, what might God be saying to me through these testimonies? Is there a further level of obedience that He's requiring of me? Should I step out of the boat in faith in some way, shape, or form and get to know somebody else in this way? And so first, I just want to share my story, and maybe it would be an encouragement to some. I talked about the impact, the encouragement, and the challenge that 242 has been to me. First, the impact. A number of years ago, a handful of us started meeting weekly on Thursday nights for meals and prayer and discussion concerning what the Lord was teaching us. Usually, these discussions centered around what was happening on a Sunday morning sermon service that we would dialogue through, pray through, disagree about, encourage one another, and it was good for us. It was awesome. And in that smaller group of people, we were able then to identify needs of neighbors and acquaintances around us. I was impacted personally when we hit a few different rough patches in dealing with family health issues. And so the group came around us and they helped us. They encouraged us. They prayed for us. And in a lot of ways, there were many times where it would just be me showing up to the group and the rest of my family was unable to come for whatever reason. And the group was always very welcoming and helpful. Second, I want to talk a little bit about the encouragement that 242 has been to us personally. In this same family, because that's the way that we would live. We often had our doors open and our sharing what we had on a pretty regular basis. I've been encouraged in this to live out my faith more regularly. Numerous times I have teamed up with another family or gentleman from our 242 to share the tangible love of Christ with a neighbor, whether that's fixing a car or mowing a yard or watching some children or providing some finances that were needed for something that needed help. And we've done that over and over again. These same people that were part of our original 242 were the same ones who were instrumental in encouraging Jessica and I to, along with a few other families, to multiply into another 242 group. And I think that's really the heart of God, is not to see his love stay with a particular group or family, but actually to expand and to share that love. And then finally, how has 242 challenged me? And I would just say this: it's challenged me because in my faith, through living out my faith with those in my 242, we have failed big time. We've had parties that we've invited neighbors to that have totally fallen flat. We've been in situations where I've said harsh things to other people in our 242 family, and it's created conflict that has required reconciliation and working through the hard things. We've done life enough that our kids have gotten in arguments, and we've had to kind of work through those pieces with other people in our 242, like good family does. And so what I want you to hear is that we've invited people into this, and they've said no. We've asked for people to come alongside, and they've declined. And that's a little bit, in my mind, what disciple making looks like. All I can say is through my personal journey, I've been challenged that it's not perfect. In fact, it's far from it. However, I have seen the hand of God moving in various ways through the years in 242. But the hand of God is always moving through relationships. Relationships first that we have with God, who directs us and gives us understanding through his word. But then relationships that we have with our neighbors and friends, some of whom go here to Northfield with us, but others who don't. And so my question then becomes, how do I live out my faith in a regular way? And how can I be encouraged and challenged and impacted in a regular way? And I believe personally that comes through involvement with a 242 family. And so in the coming weeks, I just want you to perk up and pay attention to some of the stories that you're going to be hearing, because they're pretty awesome. And they will detail failure, they'll detail success, and in a lot of ways, I think they'll be an encouragement to your hearts. So thanks for listening. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday.